Hey, Peter.
What's up?
Is it cold in here?
It's cold in here, and I got the chills, bruh.
I'm Adam Maness.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Daily jazz advice coming at you.
Today's episode is sponsored by the Oxford American. The Oxford American is a magazine dedicated to documenting the complexity and vitality of the American South. Its award-winning annual music issue comes with a CD sampler and digital download. It's a must-have for any serious music fan. Recent issues have featured Nina Simone, Thelonious Monk, John Cage, and John Coltrane. Visit oxfordamerican.org/YHI. Today, that's oxfordamerican.org/YHI. YHI as in you'll hear it.
And I mean, you said featuring John Cage and John Coltrane. You had me at that.
I know, right?
Any magazine that features those two Johns is all right with me.
Well, and they can write about it in the kind of intelligent way that the Oxford American does.
Was John Cage from North Carolina as well? Is that what the connection was?
I don't know, actually.
That might have been the North Carolina issue.
I have not read the article about John Cage, but
interesting.
We'll be doing that. So, all right, we alluded to some chills today.
Yes.
And that's because we're talking about 7 tracks that give us chills.
Yes. And by that we mean like goosebumps, like the hairs on your neck stand up.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I mean, the tracks are all great, but we're even talking about specific moments.
Right.
We're breaking it down for you.
Maybe we should call it 7 moments. Should we call an audible and change it? Or no? I don't know.
No, I'm down. Let's do it.
Okay.
7 moments.
That give us chills.
7 moments on tracks. Wait. Yeah. Okay. We'll just do moments. That's
fine. For people to hear our thought process of the production of this, I think is exciting.
Oh, it's enlightening.
It's enlightening.
It's enlightening.
Okay. So these are those kind of moments where you're just like, damn. I mean, just like you're happy to be alive. And I mean, you know, one of the wonderful things about jazz, this music that we call jazz, is that these moments can come at any time. It's, you know, there's like, you know, great piece of classical music by Beethoven or by any of these great composers. There's these wonderful moments, and we know they're coming, and it's great to experience them. In jazz, on a recording, you get a similar thing because we listen to them over and over again, and you know those moments are coming. But then on the live gig, they can come at any time. That doesn't mean they always come, but when they do, it's like, you know, I mean, pinnacle. We're going to the mountaintop.
As a musician, as someone who we're really painting time, right, with sound. I mean, I don't know if I just made that up or not. But, but I feel like it's part of our responsibility to create these kind of moments.
Yes.
Like, that's what we live for, right?
I think NPR calls them driveway moments or something like that.
We'll call these You'll Hear It moments.
Oh, I like that even better. 7 tracks that you'll hear it.
But these are our favorite ones, and some of our favorite ones. There's a ton of them. I mean, every great record has multiple dozens of these kind of moments, but these are some that we talk about all the time.
Yeah, and this is a little bit random. Like, we did not go through this and say, okay, we need to cover this. These are just sort of top of our mind today. Yeah. So we can. This might be fun to revisit at some point too, because we didn't like try to hit every single error or anything.
And go to you'llhearit.com and share your favorite moments from your favorite records with us. We want to hear them, and maybe we could do a part 2 with our listeners' favorite moments.
And do we have a Spotify playlist with these tracks
There is a
included?
Spotify playlist. Check the description for the link to the Spotify playlist. And you know what we need? We need a You'll Hear It Spotify account, because right now we're just kind of going off of mine.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, you got a problem with that, man?
No, I mean,
you want to share.
We could have like a nice curated
collection
of. All right, let's do that.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, our first moment is
Tintin
We've talked about this before.
We have.
Yeah.
And this is such a wonderful moment, and it's become our go-to explanation for what is swing.
Yeah.
when we get bogged down with trying to describe how to swing, you know, it's like, what is that old phrase when it's like, you know, that guy was such a snappy dresser. If you looked in the dictionary under snappy dresser, there's a picture of him, you know. Yeah. So if you look in the dictionary under swing, there is a link to this track.
And there's an old saying too, don't explain it, show it.
That's right.
And this is one of those things.
And there's another old saying, if you got it, flaunt it.
No, but this is one of those things that it's hard to explain.
Right.
But it's easier just to hear it. So let's hear it. What?
Double stank face.
What is going on? I'm gonna back that up even more. So
back that thing up,
because
man.
it's in that sort of Latin groove for a while. We're gonna go back
12/8.
Oh man, it just feels so
That's
incredible.
Just nasty.
You gotta listen to the whole thing. What I love, he goes into this kind of whole tone thing.
Yeah, and he's already kind of hinting at the swing.
I mean, he's always kind of swinging.
I mean, yeah. Okay, I'm getting chills. I'm serious. I'm getting chills.
I mean,
this
every
passes
time.
the test.
Can we just give a shout out here to Ray Brown? Listen to what Ray Brown
come
does.
on.
The first
The
moment
great.
of his swing, he plays 3 of the roots in a row.
Yeah.
Just boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
3 solid quarter notes. Simplify and isolate, my friend.
Man.
Ray Brown's like,
High level.
what is this chord? Is this a G or something? I'm just going to play 3
Yeah.
Gs in a
Man,
row.
he's just, I mean, him and Ed Thigpen are locked in a way that is so natural. Like it's not a robotic kind of locked in. It's just like a locked into the time, locked into the feel more than even the time. They're locked into both, but they're just locked into that feel. And it's such a cool moment because it's just the drama of the whole arrangement. And I encourage you, if you haven't heard this track, to really check it out from the beginning. It's kind of ridiculous that we're just jumping to these places, but it gives you a little bit of a taste. The whole thing it's like the drama that's built up to this moment that makes it even more satisfying. Look, they could have come at the beginning and swinging like that, no problem.
Yeah.
But it's the build up to it.
Yeah, go through our Spotify playlist, listen to the whole track, because all of these are much better in the actual context. But still, actually,
It's
on
still
their
great.
own,
Yeah,
it's
I
pretty
know.
good, man.
Exactly.
So our number 2 here is one that I picked, and this is this was such an obvious one we were talking about.
Yeah, you
this
really
because-
went obscure on this one.
Yeah, right.
No, is this even on Spotify?
This is one of the most iconic moments in the history of jazz, for
Yep.
sure. It's used in countless, like commercials and films and everything. I mean, it's one of the best feeling times ever. This is Miles Davis from Kinda Blue. So What? Right before the trumpet solo. Again, that transition.
Yeah.
Going from another groove to swing, always effective. I mean, a lot of our
Exactly.
moments here are transitions from grooves, but that's what's so great about using these different colors in your arrangements or in your playing is that they create these special moments, and that sizzle on the cymbal, that crash, and it lingers.
So on our first 2 examples here, there's definitely the cymbal, the stick on the ride cymbal between 2 masters, Jimmy Cobb and Ed Thigpen, is a big part of both of these. So that's something to note. But yes, to your point of like the transitions, like these are times when we always want to think about in arranging, in soloing, that and how we play tunes are big moments to take advantage of. We always want to think about where we're going and I can't wait till I get to the solo. Think about those transitions, because those end up being the moments that can be so amazing and satisfying. And like Bill Evans does an interesting thing, because they go to this new feel for the first time. It's all been building up to this, and you're walking, so you've got something. He kind of almost harkens back with those same voicings.
He hints,
and hints at the melody going backwards, which kind of bridges it together nicely.
Another commonality is 2 of the most swinging bass players in music history right here, Paul Chambers and Ray Brown.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt. So check out So What if you haven't heard it before.
Yeah, it's on if you can find it.
If you can find it anyway.
Kind of blue.
All right, for our number 3, we have another iconic moment. This is not going to be a surprise to anyone. This is from Ahmad Jamal's Live at the Pershing. This is Poinciana.
Why does everyone always say live at the Pershing?
What is
That's
it?
correct. isn't
Pershing?
it? Well, I always thought it was Pershing, but I think that must be a St. Louis thing, because we have Pershing Avenue down here. But Pershing, I believe, is correct.
I mean, if you know this track, you know what moment I'm talking about, because it's the ultimate causer of chills and stank face. They're just grooving along here in the what we call the Poinciana groove.
Like literally, what it's like. It's not a tissue. It's a Kleenex.
Side note, how many drummers have you leaned over to right before starting a tune and be like, Poinciana groove?
Right. You don't even have to eat this by Poinciana, like the tune or the groove. No, it's the groove.
Yeah, the groove. Let's back it up a little more.
Vernell Fournier, New Orleans Zone. So elegant the way they're playing.
Elegant. And we're off. Ooh. I mean, I've heard this a million times. I just got little chills.
It's always good.
You know what
Always
this
good.
is for me too?
Transition
This is
again.
it's a transition, but it's all Vernell Fournier. That pop on beat 4 right before it comes in, and then of course the groove. All of the stuff he's doing busy. Let's hear that one more time.
And the transition is really from the two grooves, which is easy to think they're playing the same groove and he's just going to cymbal, but it's not. Because now it's a little more backbeat-ish, right?
And that line. I mean, this album to me is a precursor of modern hip hop. Like, there's just these grooves, these moments, these beats almost that they're creating. Really,
and I mean, structurally, really influenced and informed a lot of Miles Davis's work around the same period, all the way through. Certainly, Kind of Blue, and then the later quintet it's very informative of that. Agreed. Speaking of Miles Davis.
Oh, we have another Miles Davis?
We're at number 4. We're going Miles Davis. That's what I said. We didn't plan this out to try to be politically correct and hit all the right people. We basically came up with the 7 first tracks that gave you and I chills, 4 and 3. And we had a little bit of overlap, but we said, you know what? So what? So that was number 2, so what?
Stella by Starlight from My Funny Valentine.
Yep, live 1964 at the Philharmonic, New York City.
Jeez.
And this is another, you got to hear it all building up the solo, but when he goes up to this. Almost no vibrato on that.
And that moment just typifies Miles during this period, doesn't it? I mean, it's so just the iconic. He's cacking a little bit.
Yeah, he's cacking when he first goes up there. Yeah,
going for it, and he has that groove that's just undeniable, and what the band is doing behind him.
Yeah,
yeah.
And this, I mean, there's a bunch of gives me chills kind of moments in this. The very beginning of this track, the intro from Herbie Hancock. I mean, the very first notes that he plays really, I've thought about. I mean, I've heard it a lot too. Although I don't even listen to this all the time now. I know it so well. I learned it when I was young. Like, it's informed almost everything I do when I sit down at the piano and play an introduction.
Really?
Because it's so beautiful. It sets the tone and it sets the bar so high. It's like, not that we have to play like he does, but if we're doing a piano intro, like you gotta bring it.
Well,
because it's the first thing that's being, and there's some great stuff going to be played after. I
think we should take an aside and listen to a little bit of this intro.
Let's take a little aside. Yeah. And it's nothing like crazy or anything. Did you hear that, Miles? There was like a ghost of him playing it first before he actually played it on there because of the way it was mastered. The tape was sitting on there. There was bleed through on there. Yeah. From how it was recorded live.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Man, that is so great. And that intro is so killing.
Yep. Those two records, so My Funny Valentine and 4 and More, are both from the same concert.
All right, what do we got next?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 4. This is number 5. So we've got John Coltrane, Johnny Hartman, Lush Life. And this, I kind of highlight, again, the whole track gives me chills, but especially the beginning of John Coltrane's solo. Again, let's listen to the drums. Have another master drummer seems to be a part of the situation. Interesting.
Here we go.
Small dive and there I'll be while I rot with the rest,
dude,
of those whose lives are lonely too.
And you're right. Elvin's playing on this record is underrated, I think.
Oh, man. His brushwork. I mean, when I was younger, I played and worked with and just hung a lot with Brian Blade, and he was so into Elvin Jones. Like, he's somebody who really channeled that kind of brushwork, I think, in a really interesting way. I mean, you got Tony Williams, of course, in that same period. Jimmy Cobb, so many different. But, I mean, yeah, I think Elvin's brushwork on there. And he just sort of sets it up like some of these other tracks. I think Coltrane just that sound and this like playing some kind of crazy stuff, but it's just so pretty. So many notes at the beginning of the solo on this beautiful ballad. You think, oh, it's too much, but nah, it's not. All right.
Our next one is a little more moderate. It comes from Brad Meldau's Art of the Trio, Volume 4, live at the Village Vanguard. This is an original tune. I think it might be the only original on the record, but it's really great. It's a super long track. I mean, it's a live track. But there's a moment that happens right in the middle, and it's about 45 seconds long, again, where they changed grooves a couple of times, and each time always gives me chills. Let's check it out.
Rossi?
Yeah, Larry Grenadier and Jorge Rossi.
Man.
I mean, they were, what you don't hear is that they were in that dotted quarter time.
Yeah.
And that's when they started swinging it, and they go effortlessly back to, the walking thing. And it's just so incredible.
So almost every one of these moments is at a transition point. Really important to note.
I think so. And
I mean, the Miles one was kind of at the pinnacle of the solos. That was a unique one, but the rest of them is very interesting. It's like the beginning of the solo or change of time or going from one groove to another.
But I think that record too is probably the pinnacle of that trio of Larry, Jorge, and
is that
Brad.
Volume 1?
Volume 4.
Volume 4.
I mean, it's when they had been playing together for a long time, and they'd
yeah.
recorded a bunch of them already, and it just is culminating.
I remember when they did the first one, they called it Volume 1. I was like, wow, that's pretty cocky of you there, buddy. That turned out pretty good, though. All right, for number 7, we're really going to the mountaintop on this, in my opinion. Just to a moment on a solo that from Louis Armstrong. This is I Got a Right to Sing the Blues. Kind of a corny tune, but what he does with this, and this is the OG version. Like, this is the old one. I'll look in a second. No, I won't. I don't even care. But it's the older one. He did one later. I was gonna say the 30s, 40s. I don't know. It's old school. But the whole thing about this is just what he plays, and can we play it a little bit before? But when the band breaks, again, a transition, and he starts to solo, and like you got to keep in mind, like how corny stuff was being played during this time period and the way that he plays. We've talked about this before with pretty much all of his solos. Like, he was so ahead of his time, but just in terms of like standing the test of time and just some beautiful, like the phrasing, the freedom, the swing, the feel, his confidence within that, the musicianship, the tone, the whole thing.
The best.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And what he sings the melody before this, and it's incredible. Like, his phrasing and harmony is like super advanced. But then but this is the moment right when they break.
Hold on. Did he just make a one held note swing a little bit?
Yeah. He
that?
literally plays a whole note over 2 bars, and it's swinging, and then he goes into the next, and then we gotta go back here again.
No.
But then when he starts soloing, like, I mean, obviously he's the one pushing. If you hear the whole track, pushing everybody to swing. But he starts soloing. He starts floating above the time immediately.
I've never heard this. That's I think he uses that vibrato to make this whole note swing.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It actually swings harder than what they're doing.
Chills.
This is all floating at the time. And then this break. and then goes right back to floating. So it's like he goes into that real traditional New Orleans kind of break thing, and then goes right back to floating over the time. And I mean, it's I really think that he set the tone phrasing wise for singers, for horn players, for piano, for everybody.
I mean, it was a life full of giving people chills for sure.
It's almost like, jazz or whatever they were calling it then, or could have devolved into some kind of corny dance music, and he just like elevated the game for sure.
For real.
Yeah.
Well, let's do a little bit of a review here, and I'm going to give people the timestamps so that if you're going to our playlist, which you can find here in the description, it's on Spotify, you can find these exact moments. But I encourage you to listen to the whole thing and
it's not going to kill you.
Experience it for yourself. So our first one was Tintindeo, and that happened at 3 minutes and 4 seconds, and then we had that's Oscar Peterson.
What record? I always forget the record. It doesn't matter. It does matter.
It's on the playlist. Then So What from some record I never heard of. Yeah. And that's that's at 1 minute 30 seconds. Point Sienna, Ahmad Jamal live at the Pershing at 2:09 is when that groove changes. Stella by Starlight at 4:14. Miles plays that incredible lick very emotionally. Yep. Lush Life from John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman, 3 minutes and 10 seconds is when
Coltrane starts
soloing. Yeah. Nice Pass from Brad Meldo, live at the Village Vanguard, Art of the Trio, Volume 4, live at the Village Vanguard. It's a 30-second section starting about 10 minutes is when they changed that groove a couple times. And then Louis Armstrong, I Got a Right to Sing the Blues at 1 minute and 50 seconds.
Yeah, and the whole track is only 3 minutes long. Yeah. But like he sings the melody, and then there's that little instrumental segue, and then bam.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, that's good. This is fun.
This was fun.
So send us yours. Go to you'llhearit.com and let us know your favorite moments that give you chills.
That's right.
Yeah. And don't forget that for a limited time, You'll Hear It listeners can subscribe to the Oxford American for only $25.
Bam.
Visit oxfordamerican.org/YHI to subscribe today.
That's like just 5 of your little fancy coffees, Adam.
My little fancy coffees?
Yeah.
Buddy.
At that place you go. We're not saying because they're not a sponsor. We're not mentioning any other non-sponsors.
We kind of have competing coffee sponsorships here. I mean, you have the Blueprint and I have the Sump.
Shh. We just said we're not mentioning that.
Well, we're not endorsing anything. I'm just saying
we're not.
Adam likes a superior coffee than beer. That's all we're saying.
I just said it's 5 of those, though. They're pricey.
5?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like 2.
Oh, okay. Well, until tomorrow.
You'll hear it.